Before the music, there was silence. Before he was the gravel-voiced icon who redefined what a song could be. Before the Nobel Prize, before the Electric Rebellion, before the anthems that echoed through protests and revolutions, he was simply Robert Zimmerman. Born on May 24, 1941, in Duluth, Minnesota, and raised in the blue-collar town of Hibbing, his story begins not with fame, but with a quiet discontent. A boy with a transistor radio, strumming chords that no one understood just yet. His world was far from Greenwich Village. It was snow, small-town restraint, and the crackling sounds of Hank Williams and Little Richard over the airwaves. The blueprint of restlessness. His childhood wasn't marked by poverty or trauma in the conventional sense, but rather something more elusive, a hunger, a craving for meaning, movement, electricity. His Jewish heritage connected him to stories of exile and survival, but young Robert wasn't looking for roots, he was looking for wings. In Hibbing High School, he formed bands that covered Little Richard and Elvis Presley, and he played them with a fire that didn't fit the frame. While others found comfort in conformity, Dylan found his power in pretending he was already somewhere else. Becoming Dylan, it wasn't just a name change. When Robert Zimmerman transformed into Bob Dylan, it was an act of spiritual defection. Inspired by the poetry of Dylan Thomas, the name gave him permission to escape his past, to build a myth large enough to contain his ambitions. In letters and early interviews, he began crafting a persona filled with half-truths and outright fictions, tales of carnival life, drifting, and hobo journeys. The details weren't the point. The character he created was. Bob Dylan wasn't just a musician, he was a new American archetype, half cowboy, half beatnik, speaking in riddles and chords. Woody Guthrie and the Gospel of Grit. If Dylan had a prophet, it was Woody Guthrie. Guthrie's songs of labour, injustice, and resilience spoke to Dylan like scripture. Upon arriving in New York City in 1961, Dylan made a pilgrimage to Guthrie's hospital bed in New Jersey. The folk legend was dying of Huntington's disease, and Dylan, barely 20, saw himself as a torchbearer. Dylan began writing songs not just to rhyme, but to reveal. His early works were infused with Guthrie's spirit, not just musically, but morally. He took the idea of the singing truth-teller and ran with it, faster, stranger, and louder than anyone expected. The spark before the fire. In the cold shadows of Hibbing, a boy stared at the ceiling and dreamed of noise. In the record bins of Minneapolis, he found Leadbelly, Odetta, and blues recordings that gave his inner world colour. By the time he hit New York, the folk scene was already alive, but Dylan's arrival was a lightning bolt. The seeds of rebellion weren't political at first. They were personal. The desire to break away, to find his sound, his identity, and a way to say the unsayable. And though no one knew it yet, the quiet outsider from Minnesota was about to give America a new language for anger, beauty, and change.